What is really happening in the world? This is the question that I've been asking myself over and over again. None of this is making sense. And if you're thinking like me, I want you to know that you are not alone. And I want to encourage you to go and do your own research. Find out what your truth is. You don't have to believe what the media or the government is telling you at face value, because you know what? A lot of it is actually not making sense. The math is not mathing. Nothing really seems to be adding up. So I want to empower you and encourage you to do your own research. Hi, my name's Abby, and if it's your first time watching me, welcome. And if you've watched my other videos, welcome back. So guys, I just want to keep it real with you 100% because I feel like a lot of us have forgotten how we've been living before, okay? The truth is that people have been dying like they've always been dying, okay? As harsh as that sounds, that is the truth. Now, I know people are dying of C19, but people are also dying of other things. If we sat down and actually saw the facts and figures of the amount of women that have died yearly from childbirth, you probably wouldn't want another woman to give birth again. If you knew how many people died of food poisoning, you would probably never want to eat food again in your life, okay? People can't eat wheat, people can't eat dairy, people can't eat certain foods because it's just that life threatening to them. If you knew how many people died of alcohol poisoning, you would never drink alcohol again in your life. Even people, unfortunately, this morning didn't wake up. And if you know how many people died this morning from a natural cause of death, you wouldn't even want to blink out of fear that your eyes might not even open again. That's right, so many people died in their sleep last night, and that was just from natural causes. Not to mention how many people die each year from the flu. Despite the fact that there is a flu vaccine, people are still dying. So I want to keep it really simple here, okay? I've got 5 fingers. Please don't give me a palm reading. But let's just say this person over here, okay? They're sick, they have the flu. They come into contact with all 4 of these people. Now, unfortunately, this person, they're very weak, so they have health problems. Unfortunately, they don't have what it takes to fight the flu. So they die, sadly. And that's what's been happening, but we've just been living our lives normally up until this point. This person right here, they've been drinking turmeric, ginger, lemon, lime. So the flu doesn't even affect them. It just bounces off. These 2 people now, they get the flu just like this person. They're a little weak, but after they get better. So what's my point? Okay, this person's healthy, doesn't even affect them. This person has a weak immune system. Sadly, they die. These 3 over here, they're okay. Yes, they get sick, but they survive. And I feel like the media is pumping out fear when they need to be pumping out facts. Yes, there are a lot of people dying from C19, but there are also a lot of people who are surviving C19. But I feel like we're just getting thrown more death than actually more survival rates. Not to mention, not all of these tests are accurate. I can tell you from my own personal experience, I had a blood cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I had so many blood tests. Believe it or not, it was all coming back negative, negative, negative. Nothing abnormal about my white blood cells or my red blood cells, yet nothing was screaming blood cancer, okay? And despite having all these tests. So that's my point. Like, even tests aren't always accurate. So I would love to know how many of these tests are really true. Just so much panic going on right now, and I don't think it's really that necessary, because as I said, people have been dying like they've always been dying. It's just we've never in our lives been locked in a room and been shown the actual figures of people dying from the flu. We're being shown something, but we're not being shown how many people survive. Another thing about the lockdown that just didn't really sit right with me. And as Steve Jobs said, you can only connect the dots looking back. Well, looking back, I can't even connect the dots because the dots just don't make sense. So if you're a doctor or a nurse or you're a dentist or you work as a dentist, you know that you're more likely to come into contact with any type of disease. That's just what goes with the job, right? So I was thinking, okay, we're in lockdown, things are closed, but the supermarkets are still open. And I'm thinking that just doesn't really sit right with me, because I mean, I started my first job at like 17, 18. So imagine it's your first supermarket job at the age of 17, 18, and you're being forced to work during a pandemic. Like, you're being forced to interact with people that might have this disease, yet you're supposed to go into work, do your 8-hour shift, then go back home to your family who's been quarantined. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. And when it comes to masks, that just doesn't even make sense to me, because in the beginning it was like you don't need to wear a mask, and now certain countries you're actually being forced to wear a mask. And I just feel like they don't want to see your face. Like, they don't even care what type of material you have. Like, people are cutting up socks, old clothes and rags to put over their faces. It's like there's no actual material that is proven to protect you. So I don't understand why we need to wear a mask, because they want to say, okay, it's to protect the vulnerable, but when I was having chemotherapy, my immune system was very weak. Yet my oncologist wasn't wearing a mask and my chemo nurses weren't wearing a mask. They're comfortably breathing on me. Bear in mind, this is the winter, so they could have the flu. My immune system's weak. But the point is, it wasn't that deep for them to wear a mask. And that's my point. Like, if you are vulnerable, then you do need to take extra care of yourself. So when I was having chemotherapy, I made sure that I wore a mask. So when it comes to wearing a mask, I understand they say it's to protect the vulnerable, but people have been vulnerable since the beginning of time. So where was that energy then? I just feel like they want you in a mask because they just want to erase human emotion. Like, I think it's really bad, because if you're deaf, then this is what it's like for a deaf person right now. Let's just say we're talking and I turn my back on you. Isn't that rude? There are a lot of deaf people right now experiencing high anxiety and depression because they're not able to see people's facial expressions. Plus, there are people as well that have speech problems. So I just feel like we're excluding a certain group of people when we can include them. All this time has gone by. We should be able to go to the pharmacy or the supermarket and actually purchase some type of see-through mask. Like, see-through masks should be accessible to us all, just so we can include the deaf community and people with other problems that need to see your face. Fact is, they don't care. They just want to have you covering your face. And because of this, people are having high anxiety, depression, and also people are becoming very heartless because they can't see any emotion. So, you're not able to have that empathy as you once was. And it's just very weird now when you look at someone and you can't tell if they're smiling, if they're happy or sad, or what they're really going through. I just personally feel like this is about them wanting to control us, because another thing that just doesn't make sense is, when will this actually stop? Because just like the flu, every year there is a flu vaccine, but the flu is still here. I don't think C19 or whatever this is going anywhere anytime soon. So what about next year now? What's going to happen then, and the year after that, and the year after that? Like, how much control do they want from us? And I've seen so many people frustrated because they have relatives in another country that are dying and they're not even able to go and be by their side. People can't attend funerals, people can't attend weddings, people can't travel like how they once were able to travel, all because of this C19. And I don't know if these restrictions are really about our protection or if it's about our control, because you can go to a restaurant where it's ram packed, but at the same time, you have to keep your social distance when you're out on the streets. It just doesn't make sense. And now I live in Paris, but also in the UK. In Paris, they're now saying that you have to be bars and restaurants, well, some bars and restaurants have to close by 10 p.m. I think now, and this is another thing I can't keep up, because I think the bars are closed and restaurants are open. I'm not even sure, but the point is they're closing at 10 p.m. So it's like, are you trying to tell me that C19 only lurks after 10 p.m.? I don't get it. I just feel like they're introducing more and more restrictions, and I just feel like people need to wake up, or at least admit that this isn't making sense, and stop trying to make it make sense, because it just doesn't make sense. Okay, they are trying to tell you that 2 + 2 = 5, and some of you are just like, yeah, it equals 5, and you know full well it's not 5, it's 4. So why are you accepting that it's 5? Understand that you are in control of your own life. You don't need to accept what they are trying to make you accept just because it's coming from official sources. Remember, they're going to do whatever they can to try and push their hidden agenda onto you. So my best advice is what Bob Marley said: don't let them school you or even try to fool you. If you like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, and do subscribe for more content. I'm all about self-improvement, self-love. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.